pain had made a sadist of her. So I just finished reading this yesterday. I read it in like 3 hours. It's only 164 pages. And it's the book that inspired Hellraiser, one of my all-time favorite movies. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of nervous to read it in the same way that I was very nervous to read The Virgin Suicides, which is another top favorite movie of mine. And I'm so happy to say that the book was better than the movie. Yeah, Clive Barker blew me away with this book. I'm a huge Clive Barker fan. Before this, I've read every book in the Aberrat series. I'm still lusting after the day the fourth book comes out. There's only been 3, and the fourth one we've been waiting since I think it's 2007. And I understand why it's taking so long. If you've never read these books, he paints on nearly every page, and his paintings are amazing. They are gorgeous. They're like masterpieces. He really is. He truly is an amazing artist, and I'm in awe of him. And reading this book, I was like, wow, it was orgasmically good. What I like about it so much, why I liked it more than the movie, is because at least I felt that in the book it really focuses so much on human relationships, on human emotion, on love. What really struck me in the book was the way, there was a complete loss of love between, or rather I should say, the loss of love that Julia had for Rory. And it just broke my heart reading about how Rory was just so sweet and just so kind and so loyal to her. And he was his whole aura was brimming with love for her and devotion. And she just didn't give an F about him anymore. And that just tore my heart. Oh my God. And those scenes in the book where, she's talking about how she just doesn't care anymore. And before, it would make her stomach, do somersaults. And now it's she could care less. To me, that's I guess that's the kind of the true horror in life, right? Is that love can be so easily lost, can be so easily replaced, and it happens so often, and why does it happen? And can you stop it? I think these questions arise in this book. And I found that to be very fascinating juxtaposition with these otherworldly creatures, the Pinhead and his buddies. But yeah, in the movie, there is something in the movie that I never understood, and it was the whole concept about the birds. If I'm sure a lot of you have seen the movie, hopefully you have, because I don't want to ruin anything. But In the movie, there's a lot of symbolism with the birds, like especially with pigeons. And I don't know about you, but I never understood why. You know, I never got it. I thought it was like interesting, like that they incorporated that, but in the book, you finally understand why, and it's pretty much because when they're coming to get you, you can hear the birds coming. It's kind of like the birds of death, and I found that really creepy. And there's, a bell chiming, and yeah, that was really scary. I was really creeped out. The book is scary. I think it's a lot scarier than the movie. I found the movie to be more erotic than the book, believe it or not. Which is understandable, like, of course, erotica or, sex will be much more easily described, or not really described, but, it'll be easier to depict in a movie, obviously, but I guess personally for me, reading this book has really, it's kind of like a flashback to my old self. So as a writer now, I kind of focus more on like, like erotic romance, and but I haven't always done that. So I started off writing pretty dark stuff. I actually wrote a story that was inspired by Hellraiser, and it was during a time where I was dealing with a lot of darkness. I had so much pain in my heart. I had so much anger, and I wrote these stories of like revenge. There was a lot of blood, there was a lot of violence, and reading this really reminded me of my past, and it was kind of bittersweet because I'm not very proud of it, but it is part of my past. It's part of who I am. So yeah, it's like taking a trip down memory lane. Like, probably the most graphic story I ever wrote was, it's pretty messed up. I don't think I have it saved anymore. It was a story pretty much about a young girl in her late teens, and her biological dad rapes her. And the mom knows and doesn't do anything about it, and she's jealous of her daughter, which is very common, by the way. And there's nothing she can do. And one night she's in her room, in her bed, and this entity, this demon specter appears, and he kind of he kind of tortures the living shit out of the dad. And I don't know if I could ever write a story like that again, because I'm an empath now, and I accept it, and I feel like that would be very, I don't know, it would make me feel very uncomfortable to write that, because I don't know. But obviously I'm happy that I changed, and that, I've learned other ways to cope with my anger and to not inflict it onto others, And anyway, going back to the book, that's why I read that quote, Pain had made a sadist of her, because I really felt that line. I felt like, wow, like, he's talking to me. Like, that's how I was before, and I never did hurt anyone before, like intentionally at least, but you know I wanted to because I had so much pain in me, and I think that this book just really really surpassed all my expectations. You know, like I said before, I was blown away. You know, his language, his descriptions, it's like an orgasm. It really is. Like he's one of my favorite parts in the beginning when he uh he meets the Cenobites. How do you say it right? He meets the little Cenos, the Bites, and so this is from page 14. Clive Barker writes, and this is Frank. He writes, it seemed he could suddenly feel the collision of the dust motes with his skin. Every drawn breath chafed his lips. Every blink, his eyes. Bile burns in the back of his throat. And a morsel of yesterday's beef that had lodged between his teeth sent spasms through his system as it exuded a droplet of gravy upon his tongue. His ears were no less sensitive. His head was filled with a thousand dins, some of which he himself was father to. The air that broke against his eardrums was a hurricane. The flatulence in his bowels was thunder. But there were other sounds, innumerable sounds, which assailed him from somewhere beyond himself. Voices raised in anger, whispered professions of love, roars and rattlings, snatches of song, tears. Was it the world he was hearing? Morning breaking in 1,000 homes, he had no chance to listen closely. The cacophony drove any power of analysis from his head. I was like, oh my god, why are all these amazing writers gay? So Clive Barker's gay, Chuck Palahniuk is gay, Augustine Burroughs is gay. Oh my god, what's a girl to do, right? I guess I need to get a sex change. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I hope I don't offend anyone with that comment. Although, as a non binary person, I have seriously considered it because, you know, I have, you know. So, anyway, that's my book review of The Hellbound Heart. I give it obviously 5 stars out of 5. And if you're a horror fan, you should read it. If you're a fiction fan, you should read it because it's amazing and it's like beautiful prose and reads like poetry. So yeah. Okay. I hope I'm getting a little better at these reviews because, you know, I love books, and right now I'm reading Necroscope by Brian Lumley, and you know, there's a lot of action, so I haven't read one of those in a long time. Like I used to read a lot of books like that when I was younger, so it's fun. All right, guys. Well, I'll hopefully I finish Necroscope soon, and I'll make another book review. All right, bye bye.